on Y News. President Rodrigo Duterte orders a crackdown on companies implementing short-term contracting of employees. The Commission on Elections has extended the filing of certificates of candidacy for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. And the Department of Trade and Industry sets to issue suggested retail price for school supplies. Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte orders a crackdown of companies engaged in labor-only contracting. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has given Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello the directive to submit a report on companies engaged or suspected to be engaged in labor-only contracting. These companies implement repetitious and short-term contracts in hiring employees, which is also known in the industry as the Cabo or 555 scheme. The President gives DOLE 30 days to submit their report to the Office of the President. The National Labor Relations Commission is also directed to coordinate with Secretary Bello and submit a list of cases related to the order. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque says this is still in line with the campaign promise of President Duterte against contractualization.
To crack down on them because the promise was to end 555. And ang promise ng Pangulo, habang ganyan ang definisyon ng contractualization na hindi lahat ay bawal, kundi yung mga kabo lamang, sisiguraduhin ni Presidente, wala talagang 555 at wala talagang kabo.
Yesterday, Malacanang said the President will not be issuing any executive order against contractualization on May 1 and will leave it to Congress to pass a law that will totally stop all forms of endo or contractualization in the country. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The passage of the bill prohibiting contractualization or endo scheme remains a priority of the Senate. But Senate President Aquilino Pimentel III admits the bill will face rigorous debate in the plenary. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The leadership of the Senate will consult with Department of Labor and Employment Secretary Silvestre Bello III on the proposal to end contractualization or endo scheme in the country.
Tatanungin ko na siya, nahingiin ko na lang yan. It doesn't have to be in an EO, but yung gusto nilang makita to be captured by law.
Senate President Aquilino Pimentel III admits the passage of an anti-endo law is not easy.
Pero talagang controversial lang nga siya. Talaga, it must be really that controversial na mahirap ipasa. But we will still try kasi priority yan eh.
Last January, the lower house approved its version of anti-endo bill. Two proposed bills are currently in the upper chamber of Congress. One is the proposal of Senator Joel Villanueva, which provides for strict labor policies. Under the senator's proposal, the classification of employees as regular or under probation is made simpler. Under the bill, project and seasonal employees will be treated as a regular employee. Also, the bill has penal provisions. There will also be strict prohibition of labor-only or manpower contracting. According to Pimentel, this surely face rigorous debate in the plenary as there are threats of declining investments in the country due to stricter labor policy.
May the best argument to win na. Depende na ngayon yan kung makonvince ang majority ng legislators or therefore we will not have a law. Pag hindi nila makonvince and then we will have a law, then umalis na lang sila. Gusto nilang umalis.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Commission on Elections Handbank decided to extend the filing of certificates of candidacy until tomorrow at 5 in the afternoon due to low number of certificates of candidacy filed for the SK elections. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections and Bank has ordered an extension of the filing of certificates of candidacy from April 20 to April 21, 2018. COMELEC and Bank considered the expressed concern of the National Youth Commission. This is because the number of candidacies filed over the entire period of COCs would fall short of the 338,583 SK positions to be voted in Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections on May 14. Similar concern was also raised with regard to the number of COCs filed for the barangay elections. The filing hours tomorrow, April 21, 2018, will be from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. The Manila City COMELEC Field Office also observed that number of COCs filed for the SK elections is lesser than that of the barangay elections.
Yung actual target natin, hindi makukuha dahil mababa ang turnout ng SK. Pero sa barangay level, we're almost done. Siguro mga 95 to 97%. Konting-konti na lang.
Meanwhile, late this afternoon, young people who filed for their candidacy for SK elections believe that they can help make their communities better by implementing reforms set by the government.
Wala rin naman po kasi magandang record yung mga past SK sa amin. Nagagamit lang nila yung posisyon nila sa sarili nilang interest.
Para mapabago yung barangay namin, ma'am. Kasi yung barangay namin, ma'am, halos sa tinagal ng 20 years, wala pa rin pagbabago, ma'am eh.
The latest report of COMELEC from April 14 until yesterday at 3 in the afternoon shows that there is an estimate of more than 587,000 COCs filed for the barangay elections compared to the 272,047 filed for the SK elections, a total of 859,089 COCs filed nationwide. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Department of Agrarian Reform officials will visit Boracay following President Rodrigo Duterte's directive on land distribution. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
The Department of Agrarian Reform on April 24 and 25 will conduct validation of lands in Boracay Island to identify areas that still can be considered productive. The move is in line with the directive from President Rodrigo Duterte to place Boracay under land reform. According to DAR Undersecretary David Ero, about 600 hectares of agricultural land in Boracay are feasible for distribution based on the agency's record. However, Ero says only around 4 hectares remain and can be considered productive. The inspection, Ero adds, would help them revalidate the accuracy of their record and eventually identify possible beneficiaries. Aside from the agricultural lands, DAR's records also identified over 300 hectares of forest land in the island, which could also provide employment for farmers under the community-based forest management agreement with the DENR. According to USEC Ero, DAR considers all land titles in Boracay invalid based on Proclamation 1064 issued under the administration of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. The proclamation, which was supported by the Supreme Court in 2008 through GR 167702, upholds government ownership over Boracay Island.
Karoon lang kami ng pagsilip dun sa titulo sa lupa kung sakaling yung lupang yan ay agricultural at pwedeng i-cover namin.
Ero further says, once validation is complete, the process on the land distribution to recognize beneficiaries will take up to 6 months. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Workers who are not residents of Boracay Island begin to secure terminal pass. Monokson will tell us why.
Non-Boracay residents who will work on the island within the 6-month period temporary closure of Boracay must secure identification passes. Because of this, the Aklan Jetty Port Administration began releasing workers' terminal pass on Tuesday. Any individual not bearing such ID will not be allowed entry to Caticlan and Cagban ports, while residents need only present any government-issued ID.
Sa resident natin, wala nang problema sa ID as long na meron silang barangay ID or any government-issued ID na address sa Boracay. So yun.
For a non-Boracay resident to secure a worker's terminal pass, the requirements are filled out form, 2x2 picture, 1 valid government-issued ID, 1 company ID, photocopy of company ID, and certification of company ID.
Terminal pass na ID po para sa in and out ng Boracay.
May sinabi ba sa inyo na hindi kayo makakalabas-pasok pag wala kayong pass dito?
Opo. Hindi ko kukuha, hindi ko babalik na.
Meanwhile, a one-stop shop will be set up on April 26 to assist those who will be affected by the temporary island shutdown. Among the participating agencies in the one-stop shop are the Department of Labor and Employment, Department of Social Welfare and Development, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Bureau of Immigration. Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police, Bureau of Fire Protection, Philippine Army, Boracay Fire and Rescue Volunteers conducted a simulation exercise for the security measures to be implemented on the island during the temporary closure. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Trade and Industry will release a new suggested retail price for school supplies. Mon Hokson will tell us why.
Prices of some school supplies have increased. In Mega Qmart in Quezon City, some retailers plan to increase the price when the next school year opens. Retailers say they will wait for the DTI to release the suggested retail price for school supplies.
Lahat ho halos tumaas na ang simula sa notebook tapos sa mga pad.
They plan to increase the price of notebooks from 11 pesos to 12 pesos, while high-quality notebooks will be priced at 50 from 45 pesos. A notepad will cost 12 pesos from the previous price of 10 pesos. Price of branded crayons will also increase to 25 pesos from 20 pesos. The Department of Trade and Industry says they will release a suggested retail price to give consumers guide when they purchase school supplies come opening of classes.
Mamili na sila ng school supplies habang maaga pa. At saka huwag silang mag-alala, nakabantay ang DTI sa lahat ng concerns ng mamimili.
Meanwhile, the DTI questioned paper manufacturers on why they implemented a price increase. The manufacturers explained that the high cost of raw materials for paper in the world market had affected their pricing. With this, the manufacturers committed not to increase the price of paper products all throughout this year after they implemented the price hike.
Yung increase na nagawa na nila, eto na yon, wala nang karagdagang increase. Yes, of course, this school year kinumit na nila, eto na yan for June.
DTI is set to meet with big school supply retailers and discuss the implementation of suggested retail prices applicable for these products. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
More than 400 undocumented Filipino workers are expected to return to the country in the next 3 days. This will be the last 3 flights to accommodate those who wish to avail the extended amnesty program of the Kuwaiti government for the undocumented foreign nationals. In totality, almost 5,000 overstaying Filipinos have already come back to the country under the said program. The latest batch that returned in the country consists of 100 OFWs. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III calls the cases filed against him by the Public Attorney's Office as malicious and a form of harassment. Joan Nano will tell us why.
Department of Health Secretary Francisco Duque III says he is not bothered by the cases filed against him by the Public Attorney's Office in line with the Dengvaxia controversy. PAO filed before the Department of Justice reckless imprudence resulting in homicide case and violation of the anti-torture law against Secretary Duque and 35 other officials linked with the Dengvaxia mess. Duque calls the move of PAO a form of harassment and malicious but says he is ready to face the complaint.
I have the proof to show that, number one, I had nothing to do with the implementation and I had nothing to do with the continuation. Completely zero.
Among the other respondents in the case filed by PAO were former DOH Secretary Janet Garin, officials of Sanofi Pasteur, and officials from Swellig Pharma, the local distributor of Dengvaxia. But Duque finds the non-inclusion of former DOH Secretary Pauline Jean Obial among the respondents questionable.
I find that malicious. I think she's equally liable because she continued it despite knowing she knew the red flags. She knew there were risks.
Meanwhile, the latest report released by the World Health Organization Strategic Advisory Group of Experts says pre-screening is needed before administering Dengvaxia on a person. It was also indicated in the report that Dengvaxia should only be given to people who previously got dengue.
On this vaccine, that it will not be used for a mass immunization program in any form in our country. And at this time, talagang even if we say that we need to screen, there's no way to pre-screen. No? It's not available, and it's not something that's an option to us at this time.
It was in December 2017 when the DOH suspended the dengue vaccination program due to the Dengvaxia controversy. Joanna Ano, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
DILG officer in charge Eduardo Año orders a newly appointed chief of the National Police to investigate and file charges against those responsible for failure to dispense the allowance of Special Action Force. Año says the staff allowance anomaly will serve as a litmus test for Police Director Oscar Albayalde as to how he will impose the PNP's internal cleansing program. He adds the PNP must carry out its own fact-finding investigation and create policies to avoid this from happening again. Sandigan Bayan 6th Division rejects the petition of Wally Sombero to be transferred to the PNP Custodial Center. Former Bureau of Immigration Deputy Commissioners Al Argusino and Michael Robles, on the other hand, withdrew the request to be transferred to PNP Custodial Center. With this, the court orders the Bureau of Jail Management and Phenology or BJMP to ensure the safety and security of the three while detained in Quezon City Jail Annex in Camp Bagong Diwa in Taguig City. Robles, Argusino, and Sombero are facing plunder case involving the 50 million bribery scam in the BI. Senator Laila De Lima is featured in the 50 Greatest Leaders published by Fortune magazine. The senator lands on the 39th rank for spearheading a Senate hearing on the occurrence of extrajudicial killings under the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte. The article in the magazine also states De Lima being unperturbed in voicing out her opinion to public despite her detention. Next on Y News. Re-electionist senators dominate the latest Pulse Asia survey for the 2019 senatorial elections. President Rodrigo Duterte reiterates that he will not meddle in designating men in key positions in Philippine National Police. Y News will be right back. I'm Darlene Basingan. Stay tuned for William Teo. Good evening.
On Y News tonight, President Rodrigo Duterte orders a crackdown of companies implementing short-term contracting of employees. The Commission on Elections has extended the filing of certificates of candidacy for Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. And the Department of Trade and Industry sets to issue suggested retail price for school supplies. Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte orders the crackdown of companies engaged in labor-only contracting. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has given Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello the directive to submit a report on companies engaged or suspected to be engaged in labor-only contracting. These companies implement repetitious and short-term contracts in hiring employees, which is also known in the industry as the Cabo or 555 scheme. The President gives DOLE 30 days to submit their report to the Office of the President. The National Labor Relations Commission is also directed to coordinate with Secretary Bello and submit a list of cases related to the order. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque says this is still in line with the campaign promise of President Duterte against contractualization.
To crack down on them because the promise was to end 555. And ang promise ng Pangulo, habang ganyan ang definisyon ng contractualization na hindi lahat ay bawal, kundi yung mga kabo lamang, sisiguraduhin ng Presidente, wala talagang 555 at wala talagang kabo.
Yesterday, Malacanang said the President will not be issuing any executive order against contractualization on May 1 and will leave it to Congress to pass a law that will totally stop all forms of endo or contractualization in the country. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The Commission on Elections (ONBank) decided to extend the filing of certificates of candidacy until tomorrow at 5 in the afternoon to due to low number of certificates of candidacy filed for the SK elections. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections and Bank has ordered an extension of the filing of certificates of candidacy from April 20 to April 21, 2018. COMELEC and Bank considered the expressed concern of the National Youth Commission. This is because the number of candidacies filed over the entire period of COCs would fall short of the 338,583 SK positions to be voted in Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections on May 14. Similar concern was also raised with regard to the number of COCs filed for the barangay elections. The filing hours tomorrow, April 21, 2018, will be from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. The Manila City COMELEC Field Office also observed that number of COCs filed for the SK elections is lesser than that of the barangay elections.
Yung actual target natin, hindi makukuha dahil mababa ang turnout ng SK. Pero sa barangay level, we're almost done. Siguro mga 95 to 97%. Konting-konti na lang.
Meanwhile, late this afternoon, young people who filed for their candidacy for SK elections believe that they can help make their communities better by implementing reforms set by the government.
Wala rin naman po kasi magandang record yung mga past SK sa amin. Nagagamit lang nila yung posisyon nila sa sarili nilang interest.
Para mapabago yung barangay namin, ma'am. Kasi yung barangay namin, ma'am, halos sa tinagal ng 20 years, wala pa rin pagbabago, ma'am eh.
The latest report of COMELEC from April 14 until yesterday at 3 in the afternoon shows that there is an estimate of more than 587,000 COCs filed for the barangay elections compared to the 272,047 filed for the SK elections, a total of 859,089 COCs filed nationwide. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry will release a new suggested retail price for school supplies. Mon Hokson will tell us why.
Prices of some school supplies have increased. In Mega Q-Mart in Quezon City, some retailers plan to increase the price when the next school year opens. Retailers say they will wait for the DTI to release the suggested retail price for school supplies.
Lahat ho halos tumaas eh. Na ang simula sa notebook tapos sa mga pad.
They plan to increase the price of notebooks from 11 pesos to 12 pesos, while high-quality notebooks will be priced at 50 from 45 pesos. A notepad will cost 12 pesos from the previous price of 10 pesos. Price of branded crayons will also increase to 25 pesos from 20 pesos. The Department of Trade and Industry says they will release a suggested retail price to give consumers guide when they purchase school supplies come opening of classes.
Mamili na sila ng school supplies habang maaga pa. At saka huwag silang mag-alala, nakabantay ang DTI sa lahat ng concerns ng mamimili.
Meanwhile, the DTI questioned paper manufacturers on why they implemented a price increase. The manufacturers explained that the high cost of raw materials for paper in the world market had affected their pricing. With this, the manufacturers committed not to increase the price of paper products all throughout this year after they implemented the price hike.
Yung increase na nagawa na nila, eto na yon, wala nang karagdagang increase. Yes, of course, this school year kinumit na nila, eto na yan for June.
DTI is set to meet with big school supply retailers and discuss the implementation of suggested retail prices applicable for these products. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Re-electionist Senators Grace Poe and Cynthia Villar topped the latest senatorial election survey of the Pulse Asia. Majority of the Magic 12 are re-electionist senators. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
7 re-electionist senators dominate the latest 2019 senatorial election survey of the Pulse Asia. Senators Grace Poe, Cynthia Villar, and Taguig City Representative Pia Cayetano topped the survey. Also included in the so-called winning circle are other re-electionists like Senators Nancy Binay, Sani Angara, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio, Senator Coco Pimentel, Sergio Osmeña, Erwin Tulfo, Lito Lapid, Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Jingoy Estrada, Ilocos Norte Governor Amy Marcos, and Senators Bam Aquino and JV Ejercito. Senator Angara expresses gratitude on the result of survey. So does Senator Aquino, the only opposition who made it in the survey. Although the name of Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Bongo, constantly gets in as potential senatorial contender, he said he has no plans yet on the matter.
Wala pa po sa isipan ko yung pagtakbo. Pag-isip, hindi pa pumasok yan sa isipan ko.
The survey was conducted amid controversial issues such as the co-warrant of petition filed by Solicitor General Jose Calida against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, the House Committee on Justice report which finds probable cause to impeach CJ Sereno, the review of the new panel of the DOJ on the resolution to dismiss charges against Peter Lim, Rolando Espinosa Jr. and Peter Co., and the provisional acceptance of alleged pork barrel mastermind Janet Lim Napoles under the Witness Protection Program. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
A new set of complaints was filed against the administration of President Duterte on the human rights violations happening in the country. Grace Casin will tell us why.
The Human Rights Group today filed 200 complaints of human rights violations under the Duterte administration at the Office of the Government of the Philippines Monitoring Committee on the Comprehensive Agreement on the Respect for Human Rights and International Humanitarian Law, or GRP CARIL. Included in the complaint are the 44 cases of alleged extrajudicial killing, 34 cases of illegal arrest and detention, and other cases of coercion. The group also wants to immediately conduct an investigation in all human rights cases in the country.
Sana this year, dito po sa isa sa mga reklamo namin, sa mga sinampa namin reklamo, magkaroon na tinatawag na joint investigation ng dalawang panig ng GRP at ng NDFP. Kaugnay po dito sa mga reklamo ng mga paglabag sa karapatang pantao.
Australian missionary Patricia Fox joined the filing. She says even though she was previously arrested, she has no plan to stop helping these groups.
I'm just here in solidarity with. They're only asking for their rights.
Earlier, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said foreigners are prohibited to join any partisan political activity under the immigration law. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
In other news, some Filipino fishermen detained in Indonesia are now able to come home. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
On board the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources BRP Lapu-Lapu, 31 Filipino fishermen from Manado, Indonesia arrived in Davao City this morning. They were arrested and detained in Indonesia for illegally entering, fishing, and overstaying in the said country. In April 13, the Indonesian Navy turned over the Filipino repatriates 3 days after the border patrol exercise Korpat Felindo 18 in Indonesia. 15 of the repatriates are from General Santos City, 7 from Zamboanga City, 4 from Davao City, 2 from Sarangani Province, and the others are from Tawi-Tawi. According to Special Assistant to the President Christopher Bongo, they will include in the agenda of the ASEAN meeting in Indonesia how to repatriate 46 others left in Indonesia.
Unsa ang proseso nga mapadali nato ning pagpauli sila nga dili abtan og mga 3 ka tuig. Ay uban diha 2 ka tuig. Kung pwede nato mapadali ang proseso.
Meanwhile, Randy Capricho, 31 years old, was happy to see his wife and child after 6 months of detention in Indonesia. The fishermen received cash assistance, assorted vegetable seeds, and fishing gadgets. They were assisted by the Department of Social Welfare and Development for their documents. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
PNP Chief Police Director General Oscar Albayalde is assured of having the upper hand in the police force. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
Do what is right. This is President Rodrigo Duterte's marching order to newly installed PNP Chief Police Director General Oscar Albayalde. After yesterday's change of command ceremony in Camp Crame, the PNP conducted a command conference which the President attended in. General Albayalde says the Chief Executive also reiterated he will not meddle in the PNP's duty if there is no need to do so. This would include the designation of men into key positions in the police force.
Hindi siya magme-meddle as he announced dun sa affairs ng PNP, not unless na talagang kailangan, most especially sa mga assignments and reassignments ng mga or placements ng mga key officers. sa Philippine National Police.
The new PNP chief adds there is an oversight committee tasked to assist persons worthy to be designated in different PNP units.
That under my leadership, promotion and placement of officers shall be solely based on seniority, merit, and competence.
General Albayalde has initially installed Police Director Camilo Cascolan as National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO Chief. Police Chief Superintendent Mao Aplasca as the Directorate for Operations. Police Chief Superintendent Guillermo Eliazar as Police Regional Office or Pro-4A Chief. And Police Chief Superintendent Joselito Esquivel as Chief of the Quezon City Police District or QCPD. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Here are the headlines on Y News Tonight. President Rodrigo Duterte orders the crackdown of companies implementing short-term contracting of employees. The Commission on Elections has extended the filing of certificates of candidacy for Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. And the Department of Trade and Industry sets to issue suggested retail price for school supplies. Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte will visit again Singapore next week to attend the 32nd ASEAN Summit. Maintaining peace and stability as well as economic integration will be discussed in the ASEAN Summit. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte will attend the 32nd ASEAN Summit to be held in Singapore. Through Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, Singapore will be the ASEAN chair this year. Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary for ASEAN Affairs Helen de la Vega says the chief executive will be in Singapore from April 27 to 28 to attend the working dinner and leaders retreat of the 32nd ASEAN Summit. He is also expected to deliver a speech in the event, which will be attended by the heads of state of the ASEAN member countries. The discussions will be about the ASEAN Vision 2025, Smart Cities Network, and cybersecurity.
So at the working dinner, it will focus on the ASEAN community building efforts.
Maintaining peace and security, including the issue on the South China Sea disputes and economic integration, will also be brought out. The theme for Singapore's chairmanship of ASEAN is Resilient and Innovative ASEAN.
Singapore will be introducing initiatives along this line, including one that will move forward city development, sustainable urbanization, and connectivity among ASEAN cities.
The president may possibly meet with the Filipino community in Singapore. The FA says there are around 180,000 Filipinos in the said country as of 2017. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The President has given Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello the third directive to submit a report on companies engaged or suspected to be engaged in labor-only contracting. These companies implement repetitious and short-term contracts in hiring employees, which is also known as in the industry as the Cabo or 555 scheme. The President gives DOLE 30 days to submit their report to the Office of the President. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque says this is still in line with the campaign promise of President Duterte against contractualization.
To crack down on them because the promise was to end 555. And ang promise ng Pangulo, haabang ganyan ang definisyon ng contractualization na hindi lahat ay bawal, kundi yung mga kabo lamang, sisiguraduhin ni Presidente, wala talagang 555 at wala talagang kabo.
The Commission on Elections (UNBANC) has ordered an extension of the filing of certificates of candidacy from April 20 to April 21, 2018. COMELEC and BANC considered the expressed concern of the National Youth Commission. This is because of the number of candidacies filed over the entire period of COCs would fall short of the 338,583 SK positions to be voted in Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections on May 14. The latest report of COMELEC from April 14 to 19 show that there is an estimate of more than 587,000 COCs filed for the barangay elections and 272,000 filed for the SK elections. Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, announces that they will release a suggested retail price to give some consumers guide when they purchase school supplies come opening of classes. The DTI has also questioned paper manufacturers on why they implemented a price increase. The manufacturers explained that the high cost of raw materials for paper in the world market had affected their pricing.
Mamili na sila ng school supplies habang maaga pa. At saka huwag silang mag-alala, nakabantay ang DTI sa lahat ng concerns ng mamimili, lalo na sa mga basic necessities and prime commodities.
DTI sets to meet with big school supply retailers and discuss the implementation of suggested retail prices applicable for these products. A consumer group sets to seek audience with the Supreme Court on the case of 4 suspended ERC commissioners. The group wants to make sure that these officials will not be able to return to their positions. Grace Casid will tell us why.
The consumer group will ask the Supreme Court to reverse the injunction order of the Court of Appeals against the 4 suspended commissioners of the Energy Regulatory Commission. The group notes that the said CA decision is like preventing consumers from accessing cheap, clean, and safe energy sources. They emphasize that they don't want these officials to be reinstated in their positions. The consumer group challenged the Duterte administration to fulfill its promise to make these officials accountable.
Why is Malacanang now being silent on this issue? Saan nga pupunta ang consumer groups, di ba? Where are we going kung even itong si Solicitor General pinapa-dismiss yung final naming certiorari because wala daw merit?
But the Malacanang has distanced itself from the decision of the Court of Appeals. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque, however, says they are now waiting for the decision of the Solicitor General on the matter.
We will have to respect the court decision, and I await instructions from the OSG on what they will do because the government is represented in that case by the Office of the Solicitor General.
The Office of the Ombudsman orders the suspension of the 4 ERC officials for approving the 7 power supply agreements of Meralco without undergoing the competitive selection process. The group believes the said agreement resulted in high power rates. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Solicitor General Jose Calida says Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno cannot use the Blada Doctrine as a defense against her co-warranto case. Roderick Mendoza tells us why.
During the oral arguments at Supreme Court Baguio, Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno relied on the Blada Doctrine for her defense against the co-warranto petition. The Blada is a case decided by the Supreme Court in 2005 which basically says missing SALENS does not mean non-filing. But in his memorandum submitted to SC today, Solicitor General Jose Calida says Sereno cannot rely on the Blada. For one thing, the Blada is about unexplained wealth of a court employee and did not involve qualification to a public office. Second, Dublada submitted evidence to prove he did file SALENS but Sereno did not. Calida also said Sereno's demeanor during the oral arguments shows she is not a credible witness. Her hostility and evasiveness is obvious when she was being interpellated by Justice Teresita de Castro.
Can I have your assurance that should a co-warranto petition be filed against any of you on the ground that one or more of your SALENS are not on record, that you would also, under oath, declare before this court, answer all questions regarding your SALENS. For example, Justice De Castro, who should have filed 39 SALENS but filed only 15 with the JBC.
Will you please answer the question? You are being asked a question.
Yes.
You are placed under oath.
Yes, that's true.
You are not supposed to...
Well, that is your expectation, Justice De Castro, but this is important because this is a due process and equal protection issue I'm raising now.
But Sereno maintains she submitted all her SALENS under the law, though she insisted SALENS are not considered evidence of integrity under the rules of the Judicial and Bar Council. She further said the question on her integrity is a political question which the court do not have jurisdiction. She tells the SC to dismiss the quo warranto petition which seeks to nullify her appointment as Chief Justice. Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio has earlier said they might decide the case by next month. Rodrigo Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Chief Justice on leave Maria Lourdes Sereno questioned the circulating rumors of the quo warranto petition against her already having a decision. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
As the Supreme Court and bank sets to decide on the quo warranto petition against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, rumors resounded of the resolution that the Chief Justice will be evicted from her post, something the Chief Justice had shrugged off.
Bakit pa kami binigyan ng karapatan na magbigay ng aming comment at hiningan pa ng reply ang Solicitor General? Bakit pa nag-oral arguments? Bakit pa nag-memorandum?
According to Sereno, the Supreme Court should just use this time to address the pending cases submitted to the body. The Chief Justice feared that this act would instill fear to the members of the Judicial Department and may compromise the justice system and their decision-making.
Madali na hong takutin ng Solicitor General's Office yung huwes na humahawak ng kaso. Kasi anytime kung iko-warranto siya kasi kulang pala yung isang dokumento na nasubmit niya.
The Chief Justice said that this is something that the public should be worried about.
So lahat ng security of tenure, hindi lamang po ng justices ng Supreme Court, ngunit ng lahat ng impeachable officials, nasa kamay ng Solicitor General na. At alam naman po natin, ang Solicitor General nagre-report sa Presidente.
Meanwhile, Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio said on Thursday that the Supreme Court may be able to decide next month on the quo warranto petition against Chief Justice on leave Maria Lourdes Sereno. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Iloilo.
Those are the reasons behind the news. April 20. I am William Theo. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.